Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Friday, April 24th, 2015, around 3:26 p.m. in Berwick, Massachusetts. A nice sunny day out, but chilly for this time of year. It's in the low 50s, and with the wind, it feels much colder. Where's spring at? Some news to report. The Edmonton Oilers have named former Bruins GM Peter Chiarelli president of hockey operations, and the 2015 ESPY Awards is moving from ESPN to ABC July 15th at 8 p.m. This is the first time that the ESPYs will be on another network, but it's the same company, Disney. So that's good news. That's about it on the news. My second video subject of the day is about Brigham's Ice Cream and Shops. Brigham's Ice Cream is an institution in the Boston area. They have over 30 brands of Brigham's Ice Cream, and at one time there was so many Brigham's shops and restaurants. Brigham's was founded in 1914 by Edward L. Brigham in Newton's Highlands, Massachusetts. And he had a store. He sold candy and ice cream at the store, and he made it in the back of the store. And these ice cream and candy were out of this world taste. The prices were, an ice cream cone was for only 5 cents. And a sundae was sold for 20 cents. Unbelievable prices back then. You don't see prices like that anymore. And the candy was so good, the ice cream was so good, that during the weekends, the crowds at the Brigham's Ice Cream shop in Newton Highlands, Massachusetts were so big that they had to call the local police department to do crowd control, because the ice cream and the candy was so good. Everybody from all over was coming over and getting it, and it was unbelievable. By the late 1920s, Brigham's merged with a Sims Duran company, and they started to expand to the Brigham's ice cream and candy stores to a lot of locations in the greater Boston area. And by the 1930s and 40s, Brigham's ice cream shops and stores continued to grow. They added 20 new stores during that time period, and they had a manufacturing plant of the Brigham's ice cream in Arlington, Massachusetts. During the mid-60s, the Brigham's merged with a couple of other companies, and one of the companies wanted to have like Brigham's ice cream go into like the restaurant business, selling sandwiches and chicken fingers and salads and stuff. They started to have Brigham's like restaurants around the Boston area, and they kind of modeled it as like an old colonial type restaurants, which they opened all over the place in the Boston area. They were competing with Friendly's, which was a similar type restaurant with ice cream and like sandwiches and chicken and salads, and they competed with them, and they added breakfast, and they continued to add more and more restaurants. At its peak, Brigham's had over 100 stores, and the corporate offices were in Arlington, Massachusetts, along with the manufacturing plant. I went to the manufacturing plant years ago for a field trip for an old summer camp. It was pretty good. And more people loved having Brigham's ice cream and stuff, but they did not sell Brigham's ice cream quarts in the store until the mid-1980s, and people were demanding it because Friendly's was selling ice cream quarts in supermarkets, and they started selling them quarts of Brigham's ice cream in stores, and it was going off the roof with sales of Brigham's ice cream quarts all over the place and stuff. But by the 1990s, Brigham's ice cream stores was closing down one by one because there was a lot of competition. There were other family-style chain restaurants like Applebee's and Chili's and a few others that were eating away at Friendly's and Brigham's ice cream profits for like family-style restaurants, because those restaurants like Chili's and Applebee's had liquor licenses, and Brigham's did not have a liquor license, so they were losing a lot of business and stuff. I used to go to Brigham's a lot years ago in Somerville, Massachusetts, and Burlington, Massachusetts. I usually sometimes got fraps and the ice cream and sandwiches, which was pretty good. And there was a few in Boston I went to. And by the 2000s, most of the Brigham's ice cream shops and restaurants were closed down, except a very handful. The one in Burlington, Massachusetts, the Burlington Mall, was so busy still because that was one of the most profitable ones left. In 2008, Hoods bought the Brigham's ice cream brand ice cream, and they continued to manufacture it, and they closed down the plant in Arlington, Massachusetts. And another company called Dealmetrics bought the Brigham's restaurant chain, which was only 28 left, but they were experiencing very financial trouble. This is when recession hit, and Brigham's restaurant were losing money big time. There were reports in like mid-2009 that a lot of the staff were not getting regular checks and stuff. They were getting paid by money and stuff, and there was rumors that the company it was owned by was having financial trouble, having checks bounce and stuff. By November of 2009, all Brigham's restaurants closed down throughout the area, and it happened one day in November while a lot of people were eating lunch. They had the sheriff's department come in to many of these restaurants, says, this restaurant is ordered to be closed, and people were still having their lunch, so they had to leave and stuff like that, not finish their lunch. It was a sad way to see an institution like that go with Brigham's ice cream and restaurant shops. There were a few Brigham's ice cream shops left. They were independently owned. There was one in Arlington, one in Hingham, and one in Quincy, and one in North Andover. They still carried Brigham's name, but they were independently owned than the chain. And they kept the Brigham's name for a few years, but they had to change it because of something with statute of limitations, that they had to change the name to different names. The Brigham's ice cream is still around. They sell them at supermarkets all the time. They're produced by Hood Plant, the Hood Plant in Charlestown, Massachusetts. I love Brigham's ice cream. It's pretty good. I have some from time to time. I wish the restaurant was still open because it was a great restaurant, but those things happen. The Brigham's restaurant in the Burlington Mall, when it closed down in 2009, nothing has replaced it since. And I love the slogan they had, bringing them home to Brigham's. And one more thing, Brigham's had the awesome jimmies. The toppings on ice cream, the jimmies were out of this world. And that's about it on that. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I'll be back for the third and final video blog of the night, which will be my personalized profile review about the late, great WWE manager, Miss Elizabeth, who managed the Macho Man Randy Savage to the WWE Championship in 1988. Have a good day. Bye now.